we've seen men and women with brave hearts defying violence, scorning intimidation, and defending their rights to uphold our laws. By their action, we have seen a new birth of leadership in Britain, and that is the most important thing, the most enduring thing that is going to come out of this coal strike, a new birth of leadership.
Prime Minister, you said tonight that when a recalcitrant minority breaks the rules, you say there can be no consensus, we can't negotiate with them. Is that true of the Mine Workers Union?
Well, I think the unions are obviously one body where a fanatical, tiny fanatical minority can and seem to be able to take over a whole union and then say that they represent the whole union. Some of the tactics they use are to hold meetings at very short notice in places not advertised, and they somehow take over. You get the same thing sometimes in students' unions, where those who are keenest on work can't go to meetings and stay on and on and on and on and on, and then find that the vote isn't taken until there are only a few left, and those are the fanatics. This, I'm afraid, has become almost a standard tactic, both in Britain and in some other countries as well, and we must watch out for it, because they're not true representatives of the majority, and sometimes they deny the majority the right to speak, because they know they won't support the tiny minority.
You talk about the ruthless, manipulating few. Now, will you not negotiate with them ever?
I will never negotiate with people who use coercion and violence to achieve their objective. They are the enemies of democracy. They are not interested in the future of democracy. They are trying to kill democracy for their own purposes.
Geringverdiener und Flüchtlinge gegeneinander ausspielen. So sieht es auch der Sozialverband.
Tonight, live on TVI, the Prime Minister and the State of the Nation. The interviewer, Lou Gardner.
Prime Minister, you're now completing your third year in office, the third year of what's almost become your personal fight to get Britain back on its feet. Are we winning the battle of the economy?
I think we're winning. I think I could perhaps best describe it by saying I think we've laid the foundations for a competitive industry that can expand the moment we get improvement in world trade. And that's quite some achievement because we weren't competitive before.
In sort of historical terms, where are we? Have we just had the battle of Dunkirk, or the defeat at Dunkirk, or have we got as far as Alamein?
Oh, I don't think those analogies hold at all. We have to fight our battles every day. They're never won. You've got to sell your goods every day. You've got to be efficient every day. You've constantly got to think of the morrow. It's a daily battle for each and every day.
Well, let's have a look at just this week, for instance. We saw that industrial production fell again in December. Both industrial and manufacturing production are considerably lower than they were when you came to office. How can you say we're even laying the foundations in those circumstances?
Let's deal with the December point first. Not surprising, was it, when we had really one of the coldest Decembers, not for 15 years, but really since the end of the 1800s. So, not surprising that production fell that month. If you take it over the whole quarter, it actually was up on the previous quarter. Yes, you're right, it is down over when I came in. There's been a world recession, not our fault. Germany, France, Europe suffering as well, some suffering even worse. Some got their unemployment actually rising faster than ours now. We're not responsible for that world recession, but I hope we're soon going to come out of it. Nevertheless, if we hadn't gone for the policies I've gone for, namely efficiency, increased productivity, getting the overmanning out of industry, we wouldn't be fit to compete with the Germans and Japs and French when we get an expansion in world trade. It has been difficult. What's happened is we've taken the overmanning and hidden unemployment out of industry.
Wenig sagt dazu der
The Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the right honourable gentleman has made what is for him an unusual speech.
Yes, I get it.
But I must say to him that I think he's no more credible when he makes a serious speech than when he makes one that is more light-hearted. He certainly mastered a veritable battery of statistics. Indeed, it seemed as if he made up for the absence of those statistics in every previous speech in history. But not one policy did he enunciate that would tackle unemployment at its root. would have reduced overmanning or would enable this nation to become more competitive, which we have to if we're to get more jobs. Yes, he did indeed give a battery of statistics over the first 2 years. But has he forgotten his own 2 years, when from March 1974, it took just over 2 years to be on the way to the IMF because his government hadn't the guts to follow the right policies to put things right themselves. Yes, he mentioned places like Linwood. I was a member of the government that sent the factory to Linwood with the best of intentions, with all of the possible regional aids. That factory which went to Linwood made a loss in 18 out of the 19 years of its existence. And I say to him in all honesty, that could not possibly go on. He referred to the tragedy at Consett and Corby. But he was a member of a government that put off steel closures that should have been dealt with years before. His government refused to face reality in the steel industry. He pointed out that his government sustained the number of people in jobs. Is he suggesting that steel would have a better future, or that British Leyland would have a better future if we put back all of those people who have been made redundant? Then